Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Fly With Us podcast. This podcast is bringing the art of conversation, self-love, self-care, mental health care and protection, life lessons, love lessons, and everything in between. Today we're going to talk about getting crafty. I'm your girl, Lady Bounce.
And I am Picket Fence. Today's mindfulness minute is set aside 1 hour for crafts. After days of chores are done, turn off the television. Turn on your creativity. If you've got kids, great, they can join in as well. If you're working with kids, before choosing your craft, consider the age of the child involved and based on your choices of difficulties and safety and any time constraints or short attention span. Get craft ideas offline or online, or you can visit a craft store like Michael's for hands-on inspiration to pick up the supplies you will need. Remember, the point of the activity is for everyone to have fun. So ignore the pictures of how the craft is supposed to turn out and just have a good time. Use your imagination. Let the craft take you on a personality and preference joyride.
Word up.
Word up.
Now you know this is about to be my show right here, because
Yeah, I know. I thought of it and had you in mind when I thought about it. And it also made me think of being more crafty. I was scrolling through my phones, and during the pandemic I was doing a lot of cut and paste stuff like on poster boards. And I'm like, dang. But as soon as I went back to work, I stopped doing it. But I was looking through those pictures like, yo, this is some ill stuff. I can't draw, but I love art. And that was kind of my way of being able to put my imagination to work of how, if I could draw, how I would piece things together. So we will jump into that, later. But you were already saying, this is your show. Talk about it.
Listen, let's talk about being crafty. I love it. It is the ultimate brain dump activity for me. We've had many self-care assignments centered around being creative because of that, because it is something that I strongly believe in. I believe in giving your brain that break. When you're being creative, it really lets your brain just kind of take a rest. And even if you're thinking about things that are stressing you out, or you're thinking about work, there's going to be a point in time in that crafting journey, that lesson or whatever you're doing, that your brain is going to go on autopilot. And those things are going to be the furthest thing from your mind as you're thinking about the end result of this project. Now, don't always begin a craft, with the ends in mind. Begin it like it's a journey. You're going to take this journey of relaxation. You're going to explore, and you never know that when you start a craft and you just let your brain kind of wander and kind of let it explore, that craft is going to take many different twists and turns, which in the end is probably going to result in a really awesome project, whether it's a painting or beading, or if like you said, you can't draw but you can paint an already drawn canvas, or you could just do a freehand paints and paint shapes or paint whatever comes to your mind as you're doing it, and just let that brain just kind of go. If you like sewing, sew something other than a traditional blanket or the traditional scarf. Create something new. Maybe create something you can wear. If you like to crochet, I saw a TikTok the other day where this lady crocheted this huge blanket using just her arms. So she didn't have any needles. She was looping the fabric within her arms and made a cover big enough to fit her entire couch. And then because she liked it so much, she made a companion blanket to use on top of her as she's sitting on the couch. So one of them covered the couch completely, and the other one she was using as a blanket as she was laying on the couch. And I was like, that's pretty dope. I want to know where she got that from. And so luckily she's one of those TikTok creators who list in the comments where to get the materials. So she mapped out where 2 different stores to get the materials, and then did a price comparison and said, I got all my stuff at this store, but I realized later that it was cheaper at this store. And so she put both sets of prices. And I was like, well, thank you. She's done the legwork for me in that regard. So I already know I need to go to this store if I want to get it for cheaper, or if I want a little higher quality, I'm going to pay a little more by going to the higher quality craft store. So either way, like, the project was still within my budget, and I was like, I like this. I want to do this.
That's dope. And you're talking about crafting. Like I said a few minutes ago, like, I can't draw, but I was loving doing like cut and paste things during the pandemic. And I actually got several different art stuff that I really haven't had a chance to dive into, that I wanted to get into. As when I was young, my mom used to make flower bouquets for weddings and stuff like that. And I would always get the help because there was a lot of flowers that took to make a wedding bouquet, and then for the flower girl and all that stuff. And it was something that was really simple to do, but it was also relaxing, and gave you a creative outlet as you're like figuring out stuff to do. I mean, not only bouquets, but she made what was that stuff back in the day? People used to, the home interior company used to order stuff, and she figured like you could make most of the stuff that people be buying to hang on their walls and stuff. So she would start getting flowers and stuff, and we would sit and make centerpieces, get a nice vase from a, not expensive, but nice looking, and arrange flowers and stuff. And it was just really relaxing. It was a form of meditation. So, that's something that reason I picked this is because something that I would really like to get into. And as I was thinking about this show, I was thinking about, now it's that our kids are grown, it's our time. And that's one thing that I would like to do, is do some crafty stuff together. Like there's things like the paint and sip, which I don't drink wine. We might have to take our own water bottle of what we drink. We're so ghetto.
Are we?
Yes, I am. But I was thinking about, like, you used to have like this big bucket of chalk in the garage. Like, we have our board meetings in a driveway, which we've talked about on the show, but we maybe need to do a show about what a board meeting really is. But sometime when we're out having our board meeting, and just like color the whole driveway. So what? It's our driveway. Plus it washes away once it rains. But, just to like, tap into our creative abilities together. I know that we support each other's creative endeavors. Like, you've gotten back into DJing, and like you put on my iPod back in the day, my biggest fan, but like really start creating something together, which I know we create together when we do this show, but I mean like artistically create together. So I was thinking of some ideas. Like I said, the sidewalk chalk. For some reason, we started getting these magazines somehow. We could do some cut and paste art together. I know you always have poster boards around in the basement or garage. Do some cut and paste art and see what we come up with. Like I said, I have materials to do silk flower arrangements, kind of get into that. I could show you what you might not know about it already, what I do know about it, and just to really work together. And when we talk about creativity, cooking could be an art form. It's our time to cook recipes, not necessarily sweets, because I don't really eat sweets, but like making some fancy meals. Maybe you could be like, what? I know my husband's vegan now. Let me try to cook a nice vegan meal, from, a cookbook or something like that. There's lots of ways that you can get crafty.
I was with you until you said cooking a vegan meal. And I'm like, sir.
You lost all your interest.
but and don't take this as a non-want or non-desire. A non-desire to learn. But when I look at the vegan chefs that I've ordered food for you from, and looking at the things that they can do I can't do that. I will respectfully bow out and know my limitations,
You
and
can
I will
do it if you
continue.
put your power to it. Come
I
on,
will
teacher.
continue. I will continue to patronize those who do, and I recognize where my limitations and shortcomings fall. Because
Okay.
like those ribs that Shonda Campbell made, I
Word
can't do
up.
nothing with that. I
Word
can't.
up.
That Father's Day meal, I can't.
Yeah,
I can't
that was
touch
dope.
that.
That was a good one. Shout out to Shonda Camel, Speak Woman Magazine. Shout
Yeah,
out to your vegan chef. You got me some of those for lunch the other day. Two of those meals was good. Shout out to Sprouting Dreams.
yeah.
Word up. But I think you could do it. You frying up the fish in the pan. You could
I mean, yeah, I have learned how to doctor up the vegan fish and make it taste like,
mhm,
my fish. But
mhm.
I mean, I won't say that I'm not willing to try. I'm just saying I
Word.
want you to go into it with low expectations.
Lowered expectations.
Exactly. So if you go into it with that mindset, then I think I could try my hand at making some vegan meals from scratch, and it'll be all good.
But I mean, it
But
doesn't necessarily have to be vegan meals. I might get crafty and whip you up something that you like to eat. I was just using an example of baking can be crafty too, and
oh, absolutely.
so I mean,
And
like I was just
relaxing.
and relaxing. I love to cook. I love to cook. One thing sometimes it's kind of hard, like when it comes to grilling, because it's hot and hot as you know what out there. But I
Hmm.
love to cook. Especially on the stove. I could whip up some stuff. I don't even call it culinary arts. I call it chefing. Chefing. I be getting my chefing on.
Getting your
But yeah,
chef.
I just been thinking like, that would be fun to like, hit up some paint and sips and things like that. Cause it's I think that keeps your mind active too. And that's
Yes,
good self-care.
definitely. Um, some other ways that you could be crafty if you're not into artsy things with your hands. Maybe you're a writer. Maybe you could craft a good
Mm-hmm.
story, or maybe you could craft a good poem and turn that
Hmm.
poem into a song. You get with a few of your friends who are musicians or producers that produce music, and turn that poem into something. Even if you are the only one who listen to it in your car, put it on your phone, listen to it throughout the day to remind yourself that you are great and that you are creative and that you can create something that is great. And who knows, you may create a song your friends hear just in passing and like, hey, let me get a copy of that. Can I
Yeah.
download that somewhere? So,
Yeah.
it doesn't always have to be like artsy fartsy kinds of craftiness. There's just
Yeah.
lots of ways to be crafty. And I think for me, the thing that I love the most about it is that there's no wrong way to do it. Because even if
Right.
you mess up, you could turn that mess up into art, and nobody knows you messed up with you in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. When you said make a song, it made me think of I heard this rumor, and I don't know if it's true or not, that after Nas was in Belly, he made a movie himself. He
Hmm.
hired a cast and crew and all that stuff, but he didn't plan on putting the movie out. He just made the movie because he wanted to make a movie.
Wow.
So I don't know if that rumor is true or not, but I mean that's really dope. Like that's really showing like I want to take a chance expressing my art in a different way, and you know, and that's the same thing. Like if you don't have to paint with the intention of getting an art gallery.
Right.
You were doing it for relaxation. I remember when I was younger, we lived in an apartment close to where we live at now. And we had some neighbors that were kind of like godparents to me. They lived upstairs from us in this apartment. Now, an apartment, you're not supposed to be painting and stuff, but this dude was so dope. Shout out to Mr. Taylor. God bless the dead. That he was painting like flowers and butterflies all around the house on the walls.
Wow.
And I never saw him do art for like a business. I think he worked at one of the local factories. Back in the 70s, Dayton was known for its factories and stuff like that. But when he
Mhm.
came home, you know, have a little his little drink, whatever his drink was back then, and he was painting on the walls of the apartment. And not just like some BS or whatever, or some bad art. He was really good at it, but he did it to relax and unwind when he got home. It was trees and grass, pictures, paintings of butterflies all on the walls and stuff like that. He just did it for himself. That was something he did. I had a mentor at my job that I was at a long time for many years. And he did dot art. He would do it while we were having downtime. He would make like a city skyline out of having a sharp or fine point pen, just making dots next to each other, and would make city skyscrapers and animals and stuff just out of thousands and thousands, basically like tattooing the paper, because that's what it is when you get a
Wow.
tattoo. You're basically getting like shots, lots and lots and lots of shots. And that's what he would do with a fine tip pen. He would just be dotting and dotting. And some of the ladies would get irritated because they would hear that that little tapping all day when we were having downtime. But he was really good at it. And he didn't sell his art. That's just what he did. You got to think, especially when, I guess, when it comes to older people, the older generation, they didn't have the internet. They didn't even have video games. You know, I think Atari came out in the late 70s, which was the first like home console with the Pong, and then the Atari 2600. And that came, like the first one was the late 70s, so early. So you got to think people that grew up in times before that, what did they do for their fun and stuff like that? I know my sister had a boyfriend when I was a little kid. He played the guitar. This dude would just go out on the porch, smoke a joint, and play a guitar. That was his craft, was playing, you know, guitar out on the porch.
Wow.
You know, and so, you know, like I said, Mr. Taylor, he did that art, and Jack Robin, he did the dots. So it's like that kept their minds active, you know, and crafting, I think, is something that does that. You used to love to color. I mean, you probably still do. You just
Yes,
don't have the time for it.
right. I still do love the color. But again, like you said, I don't have time. I'm hoping that with this newfound freedom that you and I are gaining as parents, that I'll be able to get back to that, because then that's getting back to me and who I am at my core when I'm not, you know, being a wife, a mother, a teacher, when I just get those luxury moments to just be me.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm really hoping to be able to get back to that. I used to write poetry. I haven't written a poem in, I don't even want to say how long. It's embarrassing. But yeah, I'm hoping to get back to some of those creative things that I used to do. You know, I colored, and Amira and we've done 3 craft projects in preparing for her to leave, you know. So with my DJing, people are always asking me, do I have a tip jar, and why don't I have a tip jar? So her and I sat down and created a tip jar out of an old um, cookie container, which is
Mhm.
actually really dope. It was a plastic container, and we took it and made it into my newfound tip jar. And I guess I'll have to post pictures of it since I'm talking about it. But for her going away party, you know, I created a little box for people to leave her notes in, you know, notes of encouragement or words of encouragement, you know, to help keep her going when she has a moment where, you know, she's feeling kind of down or she's feeling a little bit discouraged. But I created the box for people to put the things in. And also for her going away party, we created a box for people to put cards or money or gift cards into, using two two like party dish bowls. We put them together and in a real funky, creative kind of way, and created this box for people to drop gifts in it for her. And we really enjoyed that. We enjoyed it because we both enjoy being crafty, but it also gave us a moment before she left to really kind of hang out, you know,
Mhm.
and be mommy daughter and do these kinds of things, because I knew that, once she left, this was something that she was going to treasure, or she was going to think about and go. I remember that one time before I left to go to school, and me and my mom sat down and we made all these craft projects in a week just because.
Yeah,
So, it's about creating memory. It was about, being creative and crafty, but it was also creating a memory for her that hopefully will be a core memory, or a lasting memory. And when she gets of age to have children, that it's something that she'll carry into, being a mom herself, and reminiscing and realizing how much fun and how calming it was to just sit with your mommy and make a craft. That she'll do the same when she has kids of her own, whether she has sons or daughters, because boys can be creative too. And
definitely.
it's important that boys are given the opportunity to be creative, because we tend to gender role things that aren't gender specific, and we tend to do that. Sports is only for boys, or math is only for boys, crafting is for girls, cooking is for girls. No, it's not. So I'm hoping that with us having this message of getting more crafty, that you allow your boys to be crafty too. Allow them to explore being crafty. And who knows, that basketball player that you think you're cultivating, you're actually cultivating an artist who's going to be more famous as an artist than he is as a basketball or a football player. So, allow that space for your boys to be creative as well as your girls.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I can only remember all my art teachers being males. So that says a lot. I mean, every art teacher I had growing up was a male. So yeah, boys can definitely be artists and crafty. They can also be cooking is not something a woman's supposed to be doing in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant forever.
Hey, if
I
you're
love
hungry,
to
you
cook.
gotta eat.
Yeah, that's true. Everybody should know how to cook, but I'm saying I love to cook. So you know what I'm saying? I don't mind getting in that kitchen. I always say I should have went to chefing school.
Chefing school? It's
Yeah.
called culinary school.
No, it's called it's called chef. I'm hood dude. Chefing school. Chefing in the kitchen with the Ross L hand out, simmering the vegan stew.
Okay.
Anyway, let's get into our self-care assignment for this week. Our self-care assignment for this week is do something crafty. Find a craft that you enjoy, whether it be crocheting, something that our daughter likes to do, diamond art. Get you a comic book. You can get a comic book cheap. They got comic books at the dollar store, Dollar General. It could be that. It could be what do you call that thing that's like crocheting, but it's like you have a picture to make. It's kind of like diamond art, but you do it with the yarn.
Cross stitching.
Yeah, cross stitching. It could be painting. It could be cut and paste. Like I said, if you have old magazines laying around, you could cut out words and stuff from there and put it on a poster board with some paste.
Like create a vision board.
Yeah, create a vision board. Exactly. Do something crafty. That's the self-care assignment for this week. Now let's get into my favorite part of the show. Doom, 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 doom. Brain science, 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 science.
All right, so we've been talking about getting crafty. I've mentioned throughout the show a couple of things that are crafty, that are good for your brain, and why they're good for your brain. So now I'm going to give you some research on why crafting is good for your brain. Those who love to craft, no matter the medium, will often find themselves so entranced by the process that hours will go by and they won't even notice. This ability to zone out is the result of how crafting affects the brain. Whether it's knitting, coloring, pottery, woodworking, or some other activity, crafting has been shown to help people relax, reduce anxiety, improve emotional expression, and more. The overall enjoyment of crafting isn't entirely what drives people to do it, though. The benefits of the hobby go way beyond a fun way to spend an afternoon. Crafting helps to reduce stress and anxiety. One of the most notable benefits of crafting is its calming effect on the physical body and mind. Experts say that they've seen this in patients who are coloring mandalas, which are complex circular designs often found in adult coloring books. When you work on coloring in this pattern, Studies have shown your blood pressure and heart rates decrease in an even more significant downward trend. This physical change results in an overall feeling of relaxed and well-being. In addition to the physical reaction, the activity itself serves as a distraction from other things going on in your life, which only adds to the relaxation and mentions the benefits of coloring and its ability to combat anxiety. It creates a sense of calm in people. There's no medium that is better than the other when it comes to coloring and crafting. If you like markers, color pencils, crayons, etc., oil pastels, get busy, get with it. Number 2, it creates human connection and improves personal perceptions of communication. One of the best benefits of crafting is that when it's done in a group setting, it helps develop relationships and encourages social interaction. In this difficult age of technology, kids especially benefit from a group setting because it allows the opportunity to see everyone working together, a skill that is important for social and emotional development. So get out from underneath that computer and that phone and get crafty, get a group of people, get some kids together and get crafting. And another benefit of crafting with kids is that they're not looking for your mess ups. They're just excited to sit down and have some adult time, some alone time with you. They're not expecting you to be Picasso, so don't you. Crafting improves your self-esteem. The process of crafting also opens the mind up to go beyond the boundaries we usually hold for ourselves. Throughout the creative process, people report that they feel good, but can't say why. This is because crafting is cathartic in nature, and when people are engaged in something they truly love and enjoy doing, it results in insurmountable self-esteem. In 2018, there was a study done called Why Our Brains Love Arts and Crafts, and it found that in addition to reducing stress, crafting enables people to fail safely. This safety net of sorts contributes to building self-esteem because there are always opportunities to fix or correct a crafting. Failures are non-existent in crafting. You can turn that failure into something beautiful, which isn't something that can always be done in your daily life. Crafting increases your focus. Crafting's effects they've compared crafting effects on a person of those of a fidget spinner. The idea behind a fidget spinner is to keep your hands so busy that your thoughts can become more focused. And crafting does something very similar. When someone is engaged in a craft, their hands stay busy, but instead of the repetitive motion of a fidget spinner, there are definitive challenges. This increased focus contributes to brain health and cognitive ability as the body ages. Number 5, we're almost there. It provides a tangible reminder of your accomplishments. While art therapy is focused only on the process of making a product, crafting itself differs because it has an end goal that doesn't take away from its meaning. Because of the finished product, it is something the creator can physically see and touch and illustrates their abilities. I had to pause on that one. I like that. So that it goes the same as if you can see it, you can achieve it. If you see it, you're going to be thankful and proud of yourself that you created something that's on your wall.
Yeah.
I like it. Crafting also aids in emotional expression. For people who struggle with verbally expressing their emotions, the process of crafting has been shown to help their brains sort those feelings out, handle them, and communicate them through art. As patients become more adept at being able to express themselves, they will likely develop new ways to explain their art. They're actually developing new ways to express themselves and their feelings and not even realizing it. The art piece has become the vehicle to allow emotional expression to happen. To some, crafting may seem like a frivolous hobby, but a carefully made wreath, blanket, or vase is much more than a product to sell on Etsy. The way crafting affects the brain and in turn someone's emotional, physical, and mental well-being brings a deeper meaning to the activity. It's a way to escape the stresses of life, cope with struggle, foster relationships, and develop emotional intelligence.
Dope.
So,
Dope. Very dope. That's dope. So, get to some crafting this week. That is our show for this week. You know, you can find us wherever you find your favorite podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and share. Also, don't forget on Facebook and IG, we have a daily self-care assignment that you can do for little to no cost. Please let us know what you're doing. Let us know if you're doing any of the self-care assignments. Leave us a comment. Say you want more. Say I tried this today and it made me feel better. Engage with us. We're here for you to teach you self-care as we are on a journey of self-care. That's our show for this week. I'm your boy Picket Fence.
I'm your girl, Lady Bounce.
We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.